A single line of code can stop your airbag from deploying.
Yep.
A shipping delay in the Middle East can double the cost of your oil change. And, a tiny shift in Chinese stock ownership could literally make Mercedes-Benz illegal to sell in the U.S.
It's wild.
Welcome to Auto News Talk. We tend to think of the auto industry as just building and selling cars, right? I mean, just a straightforward machine where metal goes in one end and a shiny new vehicle rolls out the other.
Right, but that's just not the reality anymore.
It's really not, because right now, that entire ecosystem is being stress tested by these completely invisible forces.
Absolutely. From literal geopolitical maps threatening iconic brands down to the actual physical fluids in our engines.
And even microscopic code failures or, the AI silently policing auto finance. The industry is quietly rewriting its survival playbook, and you, as a consumer and a driver, are right in the middle of it.
Right in the crosshairs.
So we're going to uncover how these hidden layers of risk and resilience affect the cars you drive and the vehicles you buy.
Okay, let's unpack this. Well, it's a crazy terrain we're walking through, honestly. If you really want to understand the modern automotive landscape, you have to look way past the sheet metal.
Yeah.
We're basically mapping a single interconnected chain reaction.
Okay, so where do we even start with that?
We'll start way up at the macro level with global policy, then drill all the way down into the actual physical and digital guts of the vehicles.
Right, and then look at the business side.
Exactly. We'll look at how the dealerships and the lenders are essentially building financial fortresses to protect themselves.
I am ready for it. So let's start at that absolute highest level global regulation. Because, we always think of these massive legacy automakers as just permanent fixtures in our lives.
Oh, for sure.
But according to a policy breakdown on the proposed Motor Vehicle Modernization Act, international policy could literally erase a brand from the market.
It is wild to think about. I mean, the net being cast by this proposed legislation is incredibly broad.
It's like finding out your favorite local bakery might get shut down just because of who owns the flour supplier.
That is a perfect analogy. The bill specifically bars automakers from the U.S. market if they have direct or indirect equity held by foreign adversary governments.
Okay, so they're targeting nations like China, Russia, places like that.
Yeah, exactly. But the trap here is the math. The threshold for being, quote-unquote, controlled by a foreign adversary is just a 15% combined ownership.
Wait, slow down. Just 15% combined?
Yep.
How do they even track that for a massive global conglomerate like Mercedes?
Well, that's exactly where this legacy European brand gets caught in the crossfire. So if you look at the cap table, Chinese state-owned BAIC holds a 9.98% stake in Mercedes.
Okay, but that's under 15.
Right, but then you add the 9.969% held by Chinese billionaire Li Shufu.
Oh, wow. Right.
Yeah. Combined, those foreign-linked holdings sit at 19.67%.
Which pushes them completely over that 15% control threshold.
Exactly. And the bill does include a limited legacy manufacturing exemption, but the text explicitly denies that exemption to companies with this specific type of ownership structure.
That is not just an abstract corporate headache. I mean, we are talking about a massive physical footprint here.
Oh, huge.
Mercedes employs over 10,000 people in the U.S., They've got major manufacturing plants in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and North Charleston, South Carolina.
Right.
If they get barred, what happens to those towns?
That is the massive paradox policy experts are pointing out. On one hand, Mercedes presents a significantly lower national security risk compared to fully Chinese-controlled automakers.
But banning them would carry a devastating economic cost in American jobs.
Absolutely. What this doesn't answer, though, is exactly how indirect equity interests will ultimately be defined once the bill reaches committee consultation.
Right, so the lawyers are probably just sweating over it.
Oh, you know they are.
It is wild to think about international trade law threatening a car on the showroom floor. But those same global tensions are trickling all the way down to the service bay, too.
Yeah, right into the actual fluids keeping those engines running.
Exactly. An industry aftermarket report warns about a serious synthetic oil supply squeeze. Which, honestly, come on, we just spent an eternity dealing with a microchip shortage.
I know.
And now you're telling me I have to worry about an oil change shortage?
It sounds ridiculous, but the physical squeeze is very real. Instability in the Middle East and shipping uncertainties are creating a massive bottleneck for Group 3 base oils.
Okay, what makes Group 3 so special, though? Why can't we just use regular oil?
Because of how modern engines are built. Group 3 base oils are severely hydrocracked, meaning they're refined to act like a pure synthetic. They are the essential ingredient for full synthetic and blend motor oils.
Okay.
Distributors are totally scrambling to secure inventory right now. Dealerships are having to actually ration certain oils and substitute approved alternatives just to keep their bays moving.
And obviously, consumers are urged not to stockpile it, right?
Yeah, please do not stockpile. Hoarding will just break the supply chain entirely.
But the consumer is definitely footing the bill for this scramble. The sticker shock in this report is intense.
It really is.
It notes that routine synthetic oil changes that cost $60 to $65 are expected to jump 30 to 40%.
Yeah, hitting $85 to $90.
And in some markets, topping $120.
Which is just crazy. It shows that the shift to these high-tech engines makes basic, everyday maintenance highly vulnerable to global supply chain disruptions.
Seriously, what this doesn't answer is whether these price hikes are just temporary blips or if they establish a new permanent baseline for maintenance costs.
That is the big unknown right now.
Okay, so the physical supply chain is fragile, but the modern car has an entirely different hidden risk.
Invisible code.
Exactly. Software is the new engine, but it fails silently. And here's where it gets really interesting. An OEM recall notice highlights a massive airbag recall for Jeep.
It's terrifying, honestly.
It's like having the best physical security system in the world on your house, but the Wi-Fi is down, so the doors just pop open.
That is a very accurate way to look at it. Modern vehicle safety is deeply reliant on software. Jeep is recalling over 419,000 late-model Grand Cherokees and Grand Cherokees.
Over 400,000, wow.
Yeah. The issue is an occupant restraint controller software error.
Explain to me what that controller actually does.
Basically, it allows a door-mounted airbag pressure sensor fault to remain active indefinitely.
But the warning light stays illuminated, right? It chimes and everything.
It does, but no quote-unquote do not drive advisory was issued.
Why is that a big deal?
Because if that software fault is present, side curtain and seat-mounted airbags may deploy late in a qualifying crash.
And deploying late means?
It dangerously increases the risk of injury. The physical safety mechanism is completely useless if its digital programming tells it to wait.
Man, dealers will fix it with a free software update, but it completely changes how we view vehicle safety.
It really does.
I mean, even the most robust physical safety mechanisms are entirely at the mercy of digital programming. What this doesn't answer is how long this software glitch may have been dormant before it was finally flagged.
Right. It forces us to realize we are driving computers that happen to have wheels.
Okay, let's pivot to the business side. With macro policy threats, physical supply chain crunches, and digital vulnerabilities, how does the business actually survive?
They pivot. A market pulse analysis reveals dealerships are rapidly consolidating and fundamentally changing where they make their money.
Right. But if new car margins are dropping and inventory is piling up, how are these mega dealerships still so profitable?
Because they're pivoting away from front-end vehicle sales. They're leaning heavily on fixed operations, so service and F&I, which is finance and insurance.
To get that profit stability.
Exactly. Acquisition volume actually surged 39%, driven largely by private buyers.
Even though new vehicle gross profit per unit dropped 9% due to rising inventories?
Yep. Sellers have accepted that peak pandemic pricing is over, which is enabling these deals to pencil out.
And the report points out that places like Florida and the Southeast are drawing massive consolidator interest.
Oh, huge interest. And public retailer profitability eased slightly, but it remains structurally way higher than pre-pandemic.
The number that got me, despite a slight dip, the trailing 12-month adjusted pre-tax income for an average publicly traded store sits at a staggering $4 million.
$4 million, yeah.
Which is 109% above the pre-pandemic baseline.
It's incredible. The dealership business model has permanently mutated. The back end of the business is now the primary engine of wealth.
Changing entirely how dealers interact with consumers. What this doesn't answer, though, is how long consumers will tolerate these highly optimized F&I and fixed ops profit margins before defecting en masse to independent repair shops.
Especially with $120 oil changes.
Right. Now, if the F&I department is the new vault for dealership profits, lenders must protect it from sophisticated fraud.
They have to, but human analysts are burning out.
Yeah, a column on digital retailing makes the case that lenders need to use AI to handle volume, because sending half of all documents to human review is like using a metal detector for the entire beach, rather than using it so the expert knows exactly where to dig.
That is the perfect way to frame it. Up to half of income documents currently go to manual review, causing massive fatigue.
But the AI they want to use possesses what they call jagged intelligence.
Yes, meaning it's great at complex data, but sometimes terrible at basic human cues.
Still, it can detect invisible fraud signals at scale that humans literally cannot see.
Oh, easily. Like file metadata, timestamp alterations, hidden edit histories, and microscopic pixel anomalies.
So humans are still needed for institutional accountability and spotting novel tactics.
Absolutely. Plus, regulators demand explainability, meaning a black box AI is a huge compliance liability.
So lenders must establish a tiered process to basically monitor the monitors.
Exactly. AI in auto finance isn't about replacing human analysts. It's about elevating them to adjudicate only the highest stakes deception.
That makes a lot of sense. What this doesn't answer is the exact upfront financial cost for a mid-sized auto lender to actually integrate these advanced AI screening tools and retrain their staff.
Right, it's not cheap.
Man, we've covered so much ground here.
We really have.
When you pull back, there are three really clear themes across all these sources. First, geopolitics infiltrating local markets.
Yeah, we saw that with the proposed Mercedes bill on the showroom floor and the synthetic oil squeeze in the service bay.
Exactly. The second theme is that tech is a complete double-edged sword.
Oh, definitely. Software creates these terrifying silent vulnerabilities, like the Jeep airbag recall, but at the same time, it offers godlike detection powers, like the AI fraud tools.
Right. And the third theme is the massive pivot to back-end stability. Dealerships are shielding themselves from front-end chaos by fortifying their service and finance departments, like we saw in the buy-sell report.
But there are some massive tensions in all of this.
Oh, absolutely. Like, dealerships are leaning heavily on fixed operations for massive profits.
Yes.
Based on that buy-sell report.
Yes.
Yet skyrocketing physical costs for things like synthetic oil threaten to drive those exact same consumers away to independent shops.
It's a huge contradiction. And here's another one. The industry places blind trust in vehicle software to save lives, like we saw with Jeep's dormant flaw.
Right.
While simultaneously recognizing that AI software in finance has jagged intelligence and requires strict human oversight, we trust the code with our bodies more than our money.
That is so true. So what does this all mean?
Well, it means a modern automotive consumer is navigating a highly optimized, digitally fragile, and geopolitically sensitive ecosystem.
Yeah.
You need to pay hyper close attention to your digital maintenance, like software updates, just as much as your physical maintenance.
And expect the finance office to be more rigorous than ever. You've been listening to Auto News Talk. Whether it's the oil in your engine, the code in your dash, or the AI checking your loan, the modern car business is running on invisible currents.
I'll just leave everyone with a final thought. The next time you sit in a dealership waiting room, look around and ask yourself, are you there to buy a piece of hardware, or are you just subscribing to a global software and finance ecosystem?